Hello everyone, welcome back to Gonch's Menagerie. I am Gonch. So we're going to talk about episode 3B of the New to RPG guide, which is character creation once again, but from the DM's standpoint. So what this is just some thinking points I would recommend when you are starting out as a new DM, or starting out as a new DM or a little bit seasoned, and just some things maybe to think about as you've gone through your session zero. You've met your players, and now you're going to get time to meet the characters. This is not going to be a definitive guide in any way, shape, or form. This is primarily just some thought points, in my opinion. And if you would like to discuss more of it, I'm going to plug this here in the beginning of the video. The link to our Discord is down below. We have a Discord community where we have some painters and some gamers, and we just talk about the hobby and share what we enjoy about it. So, anyway, back to our topic. I find the time when you meet your characters, or your characters or players have made, to be incredibly exciting and exhilarating and slightly maniacal laugh inducing, because it's like, okay, what chaos are you bringing to the table, you guys and gals? My core table of the Lords of Ash have been running for a year and some change now, so it's been a while since I've had that feeling. I recently ran a story arc called Stolen Night for our community, some of our community members, and I got to be reminded how fun it is to meet and hear the ideas your characters come up with during this process. Um, my rogue was intensely well built, and I really enjoyed his backstory. My bard, the backstory of my bard was beautiful as well, and my sorcerer had that dark twist to it, and it was just chef's kiss, chef's kiss. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see and hear, and then meet them and see how they actually played out on the tabletop. So first and foremost, as a DM, I would recommend enjoying the process and enjoying the experience, because it is something, and especially if you play together for a while and etc. You don't remember. This is the starting point of the story where you first meet everyone, and everyone goes to the tavern, does the things right. So it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's times like that that remind me why I enjoy the hobby. So the first talking point, there's gonna be three of them, by the way. The first talking point I'm going to go on is, now that you've met them as a DM, this is the perfect time for you to find out your party's strengths and weaknesses. Now, I'm going to use my Stolen Night table as an example, because they were three party members, and they did not have a healer. Now, Stolen Night wasn't designed to be a killer, but at the same time, there is going to be combat, so they didn't have a healer. So I'm sitting here scratching my brain, going, okay, well, they don't have a healer. I'm going to have to figure out something to make sure they don't die. So if you know your party's makeup, once you figure out your party's makeup and where their strengths lie, with a rogue, a bard, and a sorcerer, that's not very frontline heavy. So as a DM, we're we're not there. It's not us against them, right? It's not, the party is going to face the wrath of Khan, as it were, and has to survive everything through it. The beautiful thing about D&D is that it's a collaborative storytelling, and I as a DM personally want to challenge my players or give them a challenge, but I don't want to. They should feel risk. They should feel fear and tension, but they should never feel like that the problem is not insurmountable by some thought process, ploy, crazy tactic of the bard, etc. Pardon me as I need to clean off my brush here and then shake out some more paint. So now you know what your party's weaknesses, strengths are, and weaknesses. I'm repeating myself. I apologize. what I'm saying is now that you've met them and you see that there are points where they are weak and they are strong, this is a perfect time to start developing either your challenges and your helps to the party. So I know that my party is doesn't have a healer, so I'm pretty sure a little bird told me that there's probably going to be a chest filled with health potions in the dungeon, so they can top up right before that they head into combat. And then as we go through our dungeon, I know that, okay, we're going to probably ding, which is hobby parlance for those that don't know, for leveling up. And you guys, they're going to regain their health, giving them that much more of a boost before we get to our boss fight. So you kind of learn how to, or gives you some ideas how to pace things accordingly. And then so I don't really have combat or tank heavy type players, so I know I can put a lot of frontline or melee troops at them, and they're going to find that a little more challenging than if I would have a party of a bard and a barbarian, a fighter, a ranger, all those more melee type people. There's going to be that thing. There's going to be that there where they're going to find that more challenging than something else. So that helps me go, okay, now I know what kind of things to put into these encounters to again make it challenging but not make it deadly. Unless it needs to be deadly, but that's besides the point. So we've covered the strengths, we've covered weaknesses. Now let's move on to the next talking point, which is backstories. I love me a good backstory. I absolutely love me a good backstory. My Ashton, if you're watching this, I love and appreciate you, brother, because your backstory for Stolen or for our main campaign helped set up our campaign the way it's going currently. And then in my most recent run through with my crew, their backstory came into play as a flavor adder to it. I won't give that away, but it was very interesting to watch the other party members' faces when the event took place, and the my sorcerer is sitting there going, "I'm traveling with a bunch of weird folk," but it was a good time. It was a good time. So when you're talking about, I really don't like gray on her hair. I'm not doing that right. Anyway, sorry. When we're talking about backstories, if you if your party is made, or a backstory type of folk, and they really enjoy doing that, great. That gives you so much room now to gain buy-in by looking at their backstories and helping flesh out your guys' world in a way that feels real to them. So let's say, for instance, you have a fighter who was a mercenary and then quit the mercenary life to go adventuring. Maybe you run into his old mercenary band and are able to utilize those contacts to find a job or find a location, or help get break into a location that you wouldn't be able to do on your own, or the party wouldn't be able to do on their own. Maybe they're a paladin or a cleric that meets an old friend that they knew in the seminary where they trained together, and that helps them getting good with the local village, and they get the help that they need. Maybe they don't have a healer, but this person knew this person from their childhood, uh, before they went to the seminary, and they're more than happy to offer them free healing because they once saved their cat out of a tree. I don't know. Make something up. You're a DM. You got this. So, another thing I will say about backstories is don't be afraid to reach out to your players if you have an idea and ask them if you can add or detract from their backstory. Right? Again, collaborative storytelling. So, for instance, when I was working on my Lords of Ash campaign, the New World campaign, one of my weaver had a backstory that he was a military person and that he did something and then he fled. That's why he became a monk. Well, as I started weaving in my Ashton's backstory and my Pierces and my Narciscos and my Flints, can't forget my Flint, I'm like, okay, this I know I have an idea how this would work out. And I reached out to Weaver. I'm like, hey Weaver, would you mind if you were this at this such and such date at such and such a time, and this was the thing that explains why you hate all these people? He's like, sure, why not? Go for it. And so he did. And now it adds a nice layer of mess to the story because I won't say he's a war criminal, but he might have been a war criminal for once, and now he's deeply regrets that and is trying to atone for his sins by being a monk. But that helps tie in to our overall story because the other players' backstories flow in there as well, and they all weave one. It is like weaving. You're taking all these different strands of the story, and you're trying to mesh it in together to make one cohesive story blanket. Looks weird, but okay. Um, so don't sleep on backstories, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Definitely take a look at them, see what you can use, can't use, talk to your players, and see what how you can develop your story from here. So there's an old saying, very old saying, called an heir and a spare, usually referring to the nobility back in the day when childhood mortality rates were higher and et cetera, et cetera. Won't go too deeply into that topic. History is one of my other side passions. So, but are you an heir in a spare table? Are you going? Is death really on the cards for your players if they make silly decisions? I'm personally more of a the hand of God comes and will save you unless you really want your character to die, and then we'll talk. But if you are an heir in a spare, that those consequences can be completely life threatening, and they are no longer among the land of the living after they decide to charge the dragon with a broken chair leg. How are you bringing in that spare? Right? Those are definitely some thoughts to have before you have that awkward point of a player sitting at your table and they just died and you have 2 more hours of session left. There's nothing more soul crushing, I guess, or saddening for a player than, well, now I'm literally sitting here with nothing to do because my person's dead, right? And don't be wrong, some players make really stupid decisions at the table and that leads to their character's death. But even D&D is a game based on spending time with people and telling stories, right? So even if the player's decision wasn't that great or the character's decision wasn't that great, let's not try. I would recommend we don't try to penalize the player unless the player was just being an asshat. But then you do you DM, you got this. You handle your business. But a good way of thinking of a way to bring that new player in, or a way to keep that person engaged during session. Maybe they'll roll for the NPCs or the encounters. They'll do those rolls, etc. Um, those would come in handy for when you are doing character creation. And if you're doing an heir and a spare, are they coming in at the same level as the old character? How are you going to bring them in? Is it a story point where they meet this person in a tavern, or they get assigned this person for a mission, et cetera, et cetera? Or is it that my twin brother, who looks exactly like me and has the same skills, magically appears and shows up at the thing? Again, however you want to run your table, just a thought process to think about. So, if you've made it this far, I really do appreciate you listening to me ramble as I work on minis. My um, June goal for the hobby community challenge in the Discord is to finish painting the core minis for this starter set. So I appreciate you listening to me ramble about a topic I enjoy, and yeah, getting some work done on these. As always, I'm really hoping that your dice roll well and your paint flows smoothly. And if you are interested, the Discord link is below. And I hope to see you again shortly and hear about your time at the table. But until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you all.